So as a child of a survivor, how did your mom prepare you for potential sexual assault?
She talked about it comfortably. She didn't make it awkward. She didn't make it into more than any other precautions that we teach our children. She talked about how a predator could be anybody. It could be the man walking their dog that's a neighbor, could be a babysitter, could be a family member. She talked to us in a way that did not make us uncomfortable at all. She wasn't uncomfortable talking to us about it, therefore we weren't uncomfortable listening and understanding what was happening.
How old were you?
11 and 12.
That's when you were abused?
That's when I was abused.
And how old were you when your mom started talking to you about anything body or sexual? Or
from the very, very beginning. Good touches, bad touches. You do not let anybody touch your body without permission. If you get the wormy feeling, then acknowledge that there's something wrong.
So when you were 11 and you were sexually assaulted, was it somebody that you knew or a stranger, or if you don't mind?
Immediate family. It was my father and then my grandfather.
So when that happened, what was your first thought? Do you remember?
The first thought was, this can't be happening. This isn't happening. And when I realized it is happening, I went and told my brother. And since my mom talked to my brother the same way as she talked to me, he knew. Let's go call mom. We need to go call mom right now.
And when you called your mom, what was her response?
Her response was, she acknowledged my feelings. She told me to breathe. She told me that not to say anything, because I lived with my dad, not to say that anything, and that she would be taking care of everything, and to go to school the next day, and she would be there. And she was there. She had gotten a lawyer. She had talked to the police. She was right there.
So do you think that it made any sort of difference? I mean, she warned you and yet it still happened. Do you think it made any sort of a difference that I mean, there's a lot of parents that are just like, I don't even want to talk to my kids about this. Would it make a difference anyway? I mean, did it make a difference?
It did. I can't imagine what could have happened if I didn't know the early signs of what was going on. If I was a child that wasn't raised knowing good touches, bad touches, the wormy feeling, I wouldn't have known what was happening, what was being prepped to happen. And we call
that grooming. He was grooming.
I wouldn't have, it would have went a lot worse.
So you were able to stop it early on because you knew what was going on?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you blame your mom that you weren't living with her full time, or was there any sort of fault?
No. In the very beginning, yes. I did not like the fact that I wanted to live with my mom and I couldn't, just because of how the divorce happened, how custody was. But it wasn't her fault. It wasn't anybody's fault besides the predator. It was his fault. And nothing I could have done. I mean, I was sitting on my grandfather's lap when I was 12, and that's when it happened. And what child should not be allowed to sit on their grandfather's lap, you know? But the second I knew that it was wrong, I was up. I knew what to do. I knew this isn't okay. And without my mom talking to me about what to look for, it would have been a lot worse.
Thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to say to the parents about their young children?
Talk to them. Tell them about good touches, bad touches. Let them know. It's not something that should be hidden. It should be talked about. It should be just like anything else. Hold your hand when they're crossing the street. Look both ways. Wear your seatbelt. It is it's something that we all have to talk about. And it's not, yeah, it's uncomfortable talking to your children. It's uncomfortable talking about that. It's uncomfortable talking about sex with your child. Are you going to not talk to your child about condoms and birth control and not having sex until you're married or unless you're in love? You know, it's just, you have to talk to them from the very beginning, and it will get easier.
So I know that your mom used to play No No the Little Seal in the car. Do you think that those books and tapes and stuff, besides her talking, do you think that was a nice add-on? Would you recommend that?
Absolutely, because then it makes it more of a, not just a parent telling you. It is the world is trying to talk to you and tell you this lesson. Just like any other child book, you know, talking about, you know, holding your hand, crossing the street, you know, just like any other book. You don't text and drive, you don't, it makes it more real.
Wonderful. I really appreciate you being willing to share. How are you doing with your own? I know you've got 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking to them about good touches and bad touches and reading books and all that?
I talk to them about it constantly before they go over to a friend's house. I make sure I know the parents. I know who's going to be at that house. They don't just go over because there's a birthday party. I make sure I know what's going on. They know good touches, bad touches, and when they get home, we talk again. Constantly talking, and at first, yeah, it's awkward. You shouldn't have to, but we shouldn't have to tell people to look both ways. It's just one of the things growing up, and it is scary, and in the very beginning it's overwhelming and you're scared and you're looking at everybody like, oh, I wonder if what that person's like. I wonder if, you know, is that a predator? Is that a predator? And you get very worked up. But if you don't look at it as that, if you don't put your shield completely up, and you talk to your kids every day or once a week, good touches, bad touches, and help them have a voice. When you go to the doctor, let them tell the doctor what's going on with them. That makes them have a voice, and that helps.
I like that. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to put this on social media and on my website. And I really thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Bye.